Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Straight Talk. I'm your host, Bob Anderson. Well, I'm excited to bring a new guest tonight. I met on the campaign trail, actually. John Ulrick. He's going to be a candidate for the Republican Party. Hi, John.
Hi, Bob.
Thanks a lot for coming in.
Yep, thanks for having me.
I appreciate you. So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is John Ulrick. I'm seeking Republican endorsement for District 15B. I'm 62 years old. I served over 30 years in the military. I had 4 tours over in Iraq and Afghanistan. I had 5 different commands. I also served on many staffs and have a lot of experience in those arenas. So when I was retired back in 2015, it's like, what do you do now? I spent my whole life serving my country, and now what am I going to do? So this is my transition to still serve my country in a different capacity. And I think I have what it takes to do it. I've been married for pretty close to 30 years. My wife and I raised a blended family of 10, and they're all successfully grown up. And we own a farm in Morrison County, Minnesota, and a small manufacturing facility. So I understand those issues that are on the agenda for this election period.
Oh, definitely.
And you know, that's about it about me.
Well, you're a well-rounded guy, I'll tell you that much. You got a lot of experience.
And you know, a lot of people can get up and they can talk about, I'm going to promise you this law is going to be changed and that one's going to be changed. But one thing I will promise to the people of this state and the United States of honesty, integrity, transparency, and accountability. And that is my promise to the people. So I'm seeking your endorsement, so please endorse me, send me emails. I'm glad to talk. This is all I'm doing with my life now. I plan to be the next representative in House District 15B.
You know, John, I'm so excited that we have military guys like yourself that have served our country, and you're getting into politics because we've got some other military guys that are running, and I just love the stories behind them, the experience you've done for us. And I think if you bring that same type of experience and caliber of life that you've experienced, it's going to only benefit Minnesota and our country. I'd like to see more vet, and there are some really good ones. That, you know, Senator Tom Cotton is a vet, and he is one of the strong guys, you know. So I said, I'm happy to meet you, and I'm happy to give you an opportunity because you got a lot to offer, and I think you're going to be just what we need in this state.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
There's one thing I can add to military experience. You know, a lot of people say, well, you don't have any experience in politics. That's not necessarily true.
Right.
You know, for many, many years, we have been taught and trained in the military about cultural diversity.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, us guys that served a long time in the military and had many commands and been traveling around the world doing different things, we have to take a lot of people from different areas of the world and country and get those different ideas and values to work in the same direction. So that is a gift that us guys get to bring to the table that most people don't. And you know, we understand veterans programs more than anybody else because there is a transition period of time. When you come back from overseas, you just don't view the world the same.
Right.
And it takes time to make that adjustment. But you know what? Things get better through counseling and family support and those kinds of things. So I understand what happens with the veterans. Do you realize that we have over 22 veterans that commit suicide each and every day? So we do need to support our veterans. So that's one of the things that's on my agenda.
Well, but having that experience too, you can be such a great resource because there are people that just need somebody to talk to that has had experience in these things. You know, sometimes it's just a peer-to-peer. Somebody's suffering and you've known what it's like. Because for some of us that have never served or been in that situation, we can't really relate. But somebody like yourself could.
You know, it's almost like this. My wife and I lost one of our children to a drunk driver. So we understand the loss that parents feel when they lose a child, because you never want to see a child go before you. But soldiers, when they come back, the hardest thing for them is being able to look at other people and they're complaining about what they don't have, or my cell phone doesn't work, and those kinds of things. And then they come up and say, I understand PTSD, I know all about it. You know what? That just irritates the guys because you really don't know. Now, don't get me wrong. There's emergency medical people, there is sheriff's departments, there's police officers that have those issues, and they're legitimate. I mean,
yes, definitely.
I will never take that away from them. But guys that come back from combat, it's the same thing, but you got to remember, combat is an everyday thing.
Exactly. And that's why people that, don't take mental health issues or mental depression and things like that seriously, and they think, oh, it's a character flaw or suck it up. No, this is our toughest, our bravest, and everybody coming back with issues. So it doesn't discriminate against anybody, and that's why it's such an important issue. And you being a vet, because we all hear about how we want to help for our vets and everything, but somebody that's really lived it, I think is really somebody that could do a difference.
I haven't been involved in the Eagle's Nest, but I read everything I could about them. I think they're a fantastic organization. I served on the board of directors for the Save Farm down in Kansas.
Yeah.
Having education programs for veterans that are transitioning from active duty to civilian life again, because there is something out there about taking care of animals, because animals seem to understand the emotions.
Right.
My wife will verify for this. When I came back from Iraq the first time, my best friend was my dog.
Oh, that's
poor old guy. He'd stand right next to me, wouldn't even flinch. We'd sit on the deck for hours, and then all of a sudden he'd put his paw over on you. And then
that's
a bond.
It's
just one of those things.
It's just, and they were doing that. They were hooking up service dogs with vets coming back,
and it works.
Yes, I can understand that because I love animals myself, and it's unconditional love. I mean, it's very easy to show affection to animals, for me anyway.
Horses the same way.
Yeah. Well, God, that's great, John. It's really nice that you're open and share some of these things. And this is going to be a heated election cycle. I know there's a lot of issues out there. And
we got 4 candidates, and we're all campaigning really strong.
Yes.
And one thing I could say, each and every one of the candidates have attributes they can bring to the office. The question is, for the people, who do you want to have in office? I believe I have a lot of attributes that I can bring, a lot of emotional things that I can bring to the table. And I devote myself just as if I was in the military, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If my constituents want to meet, or people in the community want to meet, they send me an email or they call me because my phone numbers will be posted. I'm going to take the time to talk to them. I want to go out and investigate in the field any laws that we pass at the Capitol, how the bureaucracies are actually putting them in place. And if they put strings on them and they're not interpreting the law the way they're supposed to be, I want to go back and make change.
Oh, what a refreshing change to have somebody actually
But you know what,
caring.
Bob? I can't do it by myself.
No.
One of the attributes I bring, I think I can get along with people in the House and in the Senate, and I can get them to understand my point of view. They may not agree with me, but that's okay, because we can come up with a solution that will actually benefit the most.
Exactly.
Because we're never going to please everybody.
No,
because we have a republic.
And if you think you can, it's just not going to happen.
If we have a real true democracy, we'll never get anything done.
Well, I think, like you said, your qualities that you addressed in the very beginning, that's the main thing. We all may differ on issues and things, but if you don't have the integrity and if you don't have the passion that you really want to make a difference, all these issues are really just talk. Because you need to have a solid foundation. You have a solid foundation.
And you know what, Bob? I want to share this with you because this is actually something that's really dear to my heart. Party politics nowadays is just unbelievable. This last presidential election we had, I'm not going to badmouth one or the other, but the two of them together, they fought like cats and dogs. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
Yeah, it was.
And I've experienced a little bit of that, but not real bad.
Right.
But you know what? I won't badmouth my other candidates that are running against me because, we're all going to work as a team someday.
Exactly. And we're all going to be there to benefit Minnesotans.
Exactly.
It's not so much about these parties. We really have some opportunity to make some decent changes in our state.
And me being 62 years old, I've been married more than once.
Yep.
My wife and I raised a blended family. Yep. We were successful.
Yes.
And here's the reason I say successful. All the animosity and all the stuff that comes in the households at times.
Oh, yeah.
You have to forgive and you have to overlook a lot of that stuff because if you don't, it's going to harm your children.
Oh, definitely.
And the unity of family, a good ecology of family, I believe in. And our society needs to move towards that a little bit closer. We can teach that in schools and in churches and those types of things. And it takes the wisdom of older people to be able to get that message across. I've had several young guys, and now they're in their 30s and stuff. In fact, on Sunday, I spent the whole afternoon with a guy because he was having some problems with his family, some court issues going on, and he didn't understand the court documentation. Right. So I helped decipher it for him, and I said, you don't have anything to worry about.
They're not put him at ease.
Yeah, they're not asking anything of you. It was another family in a different place that he was the
Yep.
father of the children, and the kids didn't live
Oh, it
with
can be
him.
very stressful. I mean,
Oh,
it's bad
horrible.
enough, you know. And you know, I've been through a divorce 15 years ago, but you know, divorce, it's very difficult as it is. So if you can be civil about it,
Oh,
and get
definitely.
along, it just makes everything so much better, especially when there's kids involved. I learned that. It's an experience I'm not happy about, but I came out of it with an experience that I know I learned a lot from.
Well, you know, I was very fortunate because I got custody of my children when
Yeah.
I went through my divorce. It was the greatest time of my life. I mean, I had an opportunity to be mom and dad and everything, most
yeah.
of the time. And I took time to listen to them and talk to them. My one daughter, she's got a really high job in the government right now, and she makes a lot of money, and she's very educated and just a good person.
Well-
But you know what I pride myself on? I didn't say bad things about their mother.
Yeah,
I never
that's the
did.
other thing.
And
That
you know,
is-
when my kids they questioned things over the years, but when they got to be in their 20s and 30s, they said, you know, we didn't know all this stuff. And I said, it wasn't my place to tell you.
Well, that's nice.
You had
I'm
to
sure
find
they
out on your
appreciate
own.
that too.
Yes, I believe so.
Is there any top issues that you're really passionate about? I mean, there's plenty of them
Well-
going on, but
On my website, and that's listed on the screen, I have listed 11 different issues on my political website. Every single one of them are important to me.
Right.
Now, who puts the priority on them? The people of the district put the priority on them. What I hear out there in the field right now is refugee resettlement is a big issue.
yes.
A lot of people don't understand the whole process of
Right.
it because they're thinking, oh, these people come in and they're doing all these bad things. And I hear a lot of bad talk. But if you really think about it, it started with the United Nations. And the United States takes 60% of the world's refugees, which it needs to be divvied up between
Right.
some other countries. So I think when President Trump defunded the UN to almost $300 million, it was a good start.
Yeah.
But what we need to do is we need to be able to enforce the immigration laws we have. Now, we've created a monster.
Yeah.
And the monster is these groups of people have congregated in certain parts of the city. It's dangerous for other people to go into. There's gang violence. I'm not sure about drug trafficking, but you know, I don't want to add that in there. But
Right.
what I'm saying is there's some of these
There's
other
some
things.
issues.
They don't want to learn English, and they don't want to live by our laws. One of the requirements to come here to the United States as a refugee is you have to abide by the Constitution of the United States. And that's what I think they should be doing. So we can make changes to laws, seeing as how we've already had this monster. We can have things that are similar to RICO laws, not exactly the same
Right.
thing, and that's a federal law on racketeering. But I'm trying to give an idea of what kind of law we could do. If they do a felony or they murder somebody after they serve their time, they need to leave the state of Minnesota, don't come back, we can actually put those in place. Now, I don't know if it would pass the House and the Senate,
Right.
but it's a start to try to come up with a solution to fix what we have already.
Well, we're a compassionate state. We have taken in a lot of refugees. And I think, you know, it's heavily in Minnesota. And I think on a refugee resettlement, it would be nice if it was spread out throughout, you know, instead of dominating in one state. So, but I don't know. We have very good benefits here. We have a very compassionate state. So there is an issue, and we do have some issues. And I think we can look at these issues. We don't have to be throwing a lot of rhetoric out there
No.
and add fuel to the fire. But I think we really can come up with some common sense things that we got to do.
And you know, if you noticed, I didn't mention any country.
Right.
I didn't mention any person.
Right.
Because for many, many years in the military, we were taught about cultural diversity, and we don't discriminate against religion, race, gender, or creed.
Right.
And I've added age to it because I got discriminated
Yeah,
when I had
that's
to
right.
retire.
That's right.
So
Oh, well, I'm glad you're doing something because you got a lot left in you, boy.
I hope to work in government till I'm 90.
Yeah.
But the thing is looking at it that way, you can take out all that rhetoric that you're talking about and you deal with the legal issues
Right.
rather than talking about people or where they're from or what their religion is. Leave all that stuff out of it because people are people.
Yes.
We just
This
need
is
to
true.
be able to manage it effectively. We also have to have some oversight on some of these bureaucracies, these organizations that are lobbying Congress to get money to take care of these things
Right.
and make sure that they're accountable and use the money properly. There's been all kinds of complaints out there in the field about how much money it costs to have them. I don't have all the numbers because
No.
it changes from one day to
Right,
the
right,
next.
right.
And then you don't know exactly who to believe and who not to believe. If I'm very fortunate enough to get the endorsement and become the next member of the House, I will have access to that stuff
Right.
because I'll have a security email. And then the intelligence people, which
Well-
I can find out what's going on in our state.
And where you're coming from, it just makes sense because you're not discriminating on this. You
Oh,
just
no,
want to
no,
find out what's
not-
going
not
on.
at all.
And the beautiful thing is that we have taken in, so it's not like we've shut people out in the state.
No,
so we're in a
no.
very good position to look at what's going on and come up with some solutions that, it works.
Yeah, but they have to adhere to our laws
Exactly.
and live by the laws of the land. If they come here, they'll start changing our country.
Yeah, we can't.
And we can't let that happen because we'll lose our democracy and pretty soon our Constitution will be thrown out. Our Constitution is a wonderful document.
Yes.
We have had, I can't remember the exact number, we have had over 10,000 different attempts to do an amendment to the Constitution.
Wow.
And I believe only 27 of them have stuck. And for the right reasons. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's very hard to make a constitutional amendment. So hopefully we can hang on to that, and that's our lifeline as far as our logs go. That's the basic stuff.
Well, you have a well-rounded knowledge of all these issues. I know the refugee resettlement has been talked a lot about, but we've got other issues.
Yeah,
We've got, I know that a lot of different issues are going to come up in this thing. I think the healthcare is also going to be, top because of the premiums. I mean, we just
Yes.
are not being able to afford this stuff.
I've been gathering information from several different people out in the field. In fact, today I met with Big Lake Chamber of Commerce, and I actually got to speak with an insurance agent that deals with healthcare. And I asked him his questions about should we change the boundaries of the insurance companies so it can be more competitive like President Trump. So he gave me his feedback why he didn't think it would work. He thinks that it should not be controlled by the government, that it should be in private sector as far as taking care of healthcare. I have a little bit different ideas on it, but I gather all the available information before I do anything.
Right.
And that goes back to my military background. That right out of the book, this is a book answer. It says, a good commander will take all the available information, debase plans, make decisions, and issue orders off of. So I still have that drilled into my head, so that's what I do. My personal opinion is I don't think the federal government should be dealing with health care. I think it should be a state issue.
I agree.
And we had this MinCare that now it's an open enrollment. I spoke with Tina Smith last.
That's the one.
I can't remember what month it was.
Yeah.
It was last spring. Yeah. And I says, why can't we have this MinCare as an open enrollment? Well, 3 months later, all of a sudden here it appears. But I don't know if it's on a sliding scale.
Yeah.
Because if it was on a sliding scale, what it could do is it would take care of the lower income people, and then it would be more fair across the top and make it affordable for everybody.
Well, I've got that on my website too, and I get a lot of pushback from the Republican Party because it's Minnesota Care, and it's a public option in our state only. There's only like one state, maybe one other that has it, but it's such a limited people that can get into it. I'd like to see it opened up for everybody in the state, regardless of age, income, to compete with the private. I don't want one option. I want a lot of options because the more competition is going to bring premiums down.
Oh, I agree.
And everybody's like anti-government. Well, if it's not any good, nobody's going to buy it, right? Let the market sort it out. They're already privatizing. They are giving subsidies to the private insurance companies only. So.
No, I went back and I started looking at healthcare stuff here in the last couple of years. I know there's an awful lot of hospitals out there like the Shriners.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a nonprofit organization.
Yes.
Which is normal.
More and more companies are becoming.
And you know what? That was a good approach.
Yes.
And Shriners is the only one I can think of off the top of my head because my mother was burned in a house fire when she was 7 years old. She went to the Shriners Hospital in Cleveland, Ohio, and it didn't cost her family a dime. I mean, it was amazing. Yeah. And some of the people that make a lot of money, they have endowments. And And Ben Goretzky was one of those guys. He built a wing onto a old retirement home and then had a hospice thing going on there where my brother-in-law was at. He did that because he wanted to do it for the community. Yeah. And I wish Ben was around. He'd help me with my campaign, but he's not here anymore.
That's like, there's a MediShare, there's Christian organizations, there's co-ops, there's a lot of different ideas out there.
Oh,
let's entertain some of these other options because competition will bring pricing
Right,
down.
so we need to get it written up, we
Yep.
need to get it into committee, we need to debate it, and we need to try to get it across the floor and through the Senate, up to the governor to be able to sign it.
Well, I
So-
liking what I'm hearing from you, John,
Well,
because it's different.
But
Because
I don't have the answers, but I will
No.
gather the information from the people.
that's the key. And I think bringing in new people into politics that, we've had private life experience that we can bring to the table. And I don't think establishment or the politicians that are already in should be threatened. They should welcome new ideas.
Oh, I
because
agree.
we want a big tent. And I'm looking for some common sense Democrats that are kind of fed up with the way their party has gone so far to the left. I'd like to bring some of those into our party too and make a party that's inclusive and is going to make things different for the Minnesotans. Not
Exactly.
just for Republicans, but for independents, for Democrats, for everybody in Minnesota. And that's what kind of I can see that's in you also.
Well, you know what I pride myself on is I can talk to people that have different points of view.
Yeah.
And it's just like Trey Gowdy.
Oh yeah, I like
I love that guy
I
to
do
death.
too.
In fact, if I get this endorsement, I've already promised myself I'm going to fly to Washington, D.C. and meet this guy so I can have a photo op.
Well, if you can get
And
that, believe
I've
me,
never
John, that's
met
gonna be
him
huge.
before,
Oh,
but
I
that's
love
what I
it,
plan on
John.
doing.
I think.
But the thing is you got to tell people what you believe, and more importantly, you got to tell them why you believe it, and then you have to have a method to deliver it.
Yes.
And I believe that I have those abilities. I mean, it's in my heart to do that. So, just like Trey said, he said, insults don't work. So if you have a different opinion than I do, if I insult you, what are you going to do? You're going to run
Oh,
off.
exactly. Yeah.
But if I say, well, why do you believe that?
Yeah.
Tell me, convince me
Yeah.
why I should think the way you do, and then you can agree to disagree.
That's why debates are
Or
good.
you come up with a solution that fits it for both, and that's the better solution.
Well, John, this has been really a great opportunity for me to learn more about you and for our viewers to learn more about you. We don't have a whole lot of time here, so if you want to talk about where they can find out more about you, your website or
Well, my website should be on the bottom of the screen.
okay.
And I welcome you to, and I'm asking you, please send me some emails. Call me on the telephone. I would love to talk to people. This whole caucus program that they got is new to me, and I've been out beating the bush talking to as many people as I can. I got some new delegates that are coming up. Hopefully I get the endorsement, but I just like to talk to people. I talk to a lot of people out of state. In fact, I had a guy call me from Washington, and it was yesterday.
Yeah.
It was amazing. He said, John, you're a godsend. He said, I read all your stuff, and he says, you got a gift. This is what you need to do. Well, you know what? I don't want to sound arrogant, but I really believe I do have a gift to give to the people because that's what I've done all my life. I've served my country. You know, when I took my first oath of enlistment, when I took my first oath of office as an officer in the United States Army, and also when I took my oath of commission, in the back of my mind, there's different people that have ingrained things into you that you just think about. So all those times and all the important times of mine, I think back to when I was 5 years old and I heard John F. Kennedy saying, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And that's the way I've lived my whole life. And I've done that with other people. And if you talk to any of my friends and that kind of stuff, you will see that I have tried to help everybody I possibly can. It's just part of my nature because I want to serve the people. And I don't need this job for money.
No.
I need this job because this is my step in my profession. This is what I do. And someday when I leave and I go home, because that's where I believe I'm going to go, you know, maybe they'll have something nice to say about me.
Oh, I think they will, John. Now I can
I
tell
hope
why
so.
we connected when I met you in Big Lake. We weren't together very long.
Oh,
but I can feel what you're talking
I
about
love
because you're an
people.
honest guy. I know I can tell. And you and I, boy, when we
I
get talking,
I got one other comment
Yeah.
I'd like to make. You know what? Things going on about dirty politics, I
Yeah.
kind of touched on that a little bit before. I'm 62 years old. We raised a blended family. I lived on a farm. I mean, we done all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's been things in my life that I'm not totally proud of.
Oh, none of us.
Everybody's got skeletons in their closet, but you know what? There is nothing I don't have an answer for, and I will not hide anything
Yeah.
from the public. All you have to do is ask. And there is a legitimate reason for everything. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a felon or anything like that. I mean, I haven't served any prison time and no drug trafficking things or anything like that because I was just the opposite of that.
I think people appreciate honesty, and they would rather have somebody, even if we don't agree on the issues, somebody with integrity, somebody with honesty, and somebody with the courage to speak out. If you see something, you say something, and people are starting to appreciate that.
Courage I do have, honesty I do have, and one thing I will promise, I'll never quit because it's a job that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it's just like the old saying in the military, when the bugle blows, you gotta go, that type of thing. It's exactly the same thing. So I'm just shifting from one office to another. And by the way, I never gave up my commission. I still hold a commission in the United States Army, and I can be recalled up to age 70. But if I'm in a political office, I don't have to go.
Well, John, thank you so much and thank you for your service.
And thank you.
Seriously.
Thank you.
I'm so happy I got a chance to meet you, and I'm so happy we had to be able to do this interview.
I just wish we had more time.
Oh, I know. You and I could talk all night.
Oh, yes, we could.
Well, thanks for tuning in tonight. Remember, you can always reach me at bobtalk22@yahoo.com. Thanks a lot, and good night.